Alright, going live in 3, 2, 1. Well, best I know I'm live on YouTube. Hey folks, if you're watching us online, then say hello in the chat box. Let us know where you are watching us from. This is Avi from Seattle. And let me welcome our members of the Learn Power BI group. And they're in the waiting room. And how do I do this? Awesome. So I see Steve, Isaac, Robin. Hey Robin, good to see you again. And James on the phone from our Learn Power BI group. Good to have you guys on. Let me see if the YouTube everything is working well. All right, who do we have here? There you go. Oh, Sahil, mate. Yeah, got a long time. Yeah, and of course you can join on the phone, but YouTube is cool too. I've been thinking about you. Yeah, I think I saw your comment on Burv Chana's post about his Fiverr MVP, and I'm like, oh man, wonder what he's been up to. Awesome. So, cool. What am I trying to do here? First of all, I'm trying to sort out my hold on guys. Okay, cool. So that thing is sorted out. Dominique Chin is on. Hello and welcome. And I'm gonna share my screen. Which one? Two with the Zoom participants. There's not gonna be going on much on the screen now. So yeah, let's see. So Satya says hi. Nancy says hello. Hello Gabriel. Hello to Glenn. Juan Vasquez from Monterrey, Mexico. Juliet is here from Boston. Tam says hello from California. Naoaki says hello from Tokyo. All right, well, special hello to you, my friend. Earlier, we got Matthias from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And Corey says hello from Omaha, Nebraska. And of course, we have our members on the phone. Folks, if you want, you can put in the chat where you're based out of. I'll shout that out. But I think let's talk about today. So today is the Q&A call, and I'm here to answer your questions. And there's a process to it. And if you go to oops, not this guy. If you go to talkpowerbi.com, that redirects you to the spot which has that information. So let's check it out. And it tells you about the format, how it works, and you can pre-submit your question. Students have their own special link. They light up and it ends up on this Trello board. And we generally ask that you pre-submit and you attend live. Although we'll see. I mean, there was a time when the way we would run it was we would take one question from the students who pre-submitted it. They get priority. One question from kind of the YouTube, and then just kind of a live question. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I forgot to pre-submit, and I have to wait till the end of the queue. That doesn't happen. So we'll follow that kind of process again, and I think Q&A format. Oh, I don't know what that is. Roll call, Power BI puzzle. Ignore that. So what I said. Let's actually do that. So we'll take students go first. Learn Power BI. They get first dibs. Then maybe we go to YouTube, and we basically repeat, and we'll prefer pre-submitted, and then maybe kind of a live question, something like that. All right, I hope that's fair. Although we are planning a YouTube only Q&A session. We might do that. I've been talking to Marianne about it, where there's no phone in, because, well, we'll see. We'll just try it. We'll see how it works. All right, so that's a Q&A session. I did have one announcement. Guys, I'm going to be off in August. It's kind of like a workcation. And to share a little bit of a story, my goal is to take 3 months off. Now, that may sound crazy, Well, what our coach has taught us is that less is more. And there's this idea, the less you work, the more you make. And that sounds pretty crazy, right? Because all my life I'd been tied to what I call the 9 to 5 mindset, which is generally that the more you work, the more you make, right? And or vice versa. You want the promotion, oh, you got to work harder. And well, for sure, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, freelancer, consultant, whatever, it doesn't work the same way. So it's counterintuitive. So my goal is that I hope to accomplish that in 2021. I'm working my way towards it. So August is kind of a workcation. We'll generally be off of Talk Power BI. We'll be back in September, and it's a workcation, not a vacation, because one of my goals during that is to take that focus time and update the Learn Power BI course. Members who are been there for a while in our Learn Power BI community, and members who are recently joining. Well, yeah, we're starting to hear a little bit like now the course does focus on core concepts, and they don't change, but just to follow along with the video as you're learning those core concepts gets a little tricky. So yeah, so we do want to update it. So that's kind of the plan coming up next. All right, cool. So let's see, Javier. Hello from Poland. My Excel Academy. Whoa, hey, awesome. Good to have you here. Cool. So folks on the phone, just shout out or type it in the chat box if you had submitted a question earlier in the pre-submitted.
Avi, I did pre-submit.
Awesome.
This is Steve.
Yeah.
We talked about one of them yesterday, which is
That's right.
done,
Yep.
but the
Oh,
other is, and I don't think the other is all that. It's not real technical. It's more of a modeling question.
all right. Awesome. And again, folks, where is my chat window? If I can find it. That's weird. Hey guys, can one of you? Oh, there it is. I found it. Thank you. All right, so let's go here. Oh wow, more folks are joining in. Sahil is on the phone. Hey Sahil, from India. Manolito from Arnhem. Dominique from Amsterdam. Isaac from Mexico, and Robin from Houston. So cool. So folks on the phone, anybody else who had pre-submitted a question, or you have a question, we'll still slot you in. It's like, yeah, I'll be. Okay, so James has a question. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just say. So, Learn Power BI students. Okay, so James has something there. Awesome. I didn't hear from anybody else, although I would love to check in with some of you. So let's go on YouTube. So, folks, I know there's a little bit of delay, but again, if you were aware, I hope you were. So if you're subscribed to us, we do send notifications like, hey, submit questions. Otherwise, you can go to talkpowerbi.com. That redirects here. That all the information about pre-submitting a question, a special link for students, and if you just want to look through the questions having submitted here, then you can just open that board. Boy, there are quite a few, and I'm going to have to come in here and clean up at some point of time. I guess this was answered, I hope. Kevin Morsh. Oh, okay. I would say that was answered. Okay. So, yeah, on YouTube, if you sent in a question, then, I don't know, type in Q or question in the YouTube chat box. All right. Okay. I'm gonna. So I know there's a delay, so I'm gonna come back to that. Let's dive in with Steve's question. So Steve, this was the second question you had sent in on our Thursday student call, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, and
got
I
it.
had
So
attached
I know where to
two files.
find it. Oh,
They're
not here. By the way, folks, in the Learn Power BI program, Steve had a really good question, as always, on Thursday. And man, we dove into that one, so that was fun. Okay, so let me find it. So so on 23rd, you had sent two files. The one we looked at was blank and pivots, and then there were some
Yes.
other files: track,
Yeah.
total handle.
There
Do you
was
want me
one
to
that in parentheses at the end of the file name said
Snowflake? Oh,
star.
star of Snowflake. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Okay, so so we're gonna be using both of those files, star of Snowflake.
Yeah. The question is to contrast the approach either using a star schema,
Uh-huh.
which involves denormalizing a table, or
Got it.
using the third table and relating that to the second table, which then goes up to the first table.
Okay. All right. So the okay. So I'm seeing the file, and then we'll see kind of YouTube. Who do we have? We have Alejandro and John Southern and Juliet. Got it. Matthias as well. Nancy, I think. I think the Y is missing in the screen name. Got it. Okay, so folks, got it. So let me help Steve, and then again we'll take one on YouTube. I should have the file saved. Let's look at that. So folks, Power BI is built into Excel. You can use Power BI, leverage Power BI in either platforms inside Excel or Power BI desktop. It's pretty much the same, minor differences. It has both the same core engines, one of which is M, or Power Query, or Query Editor, or Transform Data. I never know what to call it. And the other engine is really the DAX and the modeling engine. All right, so let's look at this one. Enable. So I'm gonna power pivot. I'm just gonna start with the relationship view. By the way, so for the YouTube folks or others, I generally, almost always, if I'm working with an existing model, if somebody asks me a question, almost inevitably I'll look at the relationship view first. That just gives me a quick glance. So I'm gonna put these two kind of side by side. So this one is star, and then this one, say Snowflake. All right, so Steve, I see this. So this is kind of a detail, a data table right here, which has a
Yes.
lookup table, and in this case, the lookup has a lookup table. That's okay. And in the other one, boy, I don't know. Yeah, so
Well,
talk to
what's
me.
happening here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you have your basic calendar table.
Yeah.
That's good. The second table there, that meat analysis table,
Mm-hmm.
that is, it's a lot like a lookup table. It's got a lot of qualitative type characteristics of a race. Talks
Yeah.
about different, but and the other one, the disconnected table, has the actual wagering detail for that particular race, and
Got it.
it's joined by that field that says FN track. That's like a composite key,
Yeah.
like a,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
that's how it. So in the
And it
star
is joined
schema,
here. Yeah.
and that's in the Snowflake. It's actually joined,
Uh-huh.
but in the star, it's not. And what I've done is I've merged that data into the meat
Yeah.
analysis
Oh,
to just
got it.
create
Yeah.
a simple star schema.
Yeah. Although then you didn't need to load the stable, right? You could have.
I really could, I guess not. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
probably didn't even need to be loaded.
Yep.
Did a lot of experimentation here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what it's doing, it's just merging actually a couple of fields, but because as fate would have it, the two sources don't use the same code for a particular thing. So you have to sort of do a little translation of code, not computer code, but the the product code basically. And so what it's doing, it's just merging that
Yeah.
that handle field that's in meat analysis.
Got it.
It's
Okay.
that
And your
that
question
gets there
is,
through a merge.
and
In this,
and what's your question?
well, I watched a little bit of videos on data modeling. And they say try to get away from the Snowflake schema. Like you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It can cause issues, and and in this particular case, they look exactly the same, the output. But I'm wondering, is it what's best practice?
Sure. All right, great. So on YouTube, some folks had some questions. Somebody was asking, hey, can you explain the question before I get the answer? So folks, I usually get the question along with you, but yeah, I'll try to maybe recap that. Some of the folks that were talking about the process, and yeah, go to talkpowerbi.com. That has all the details. And today, what we're doing is, this is actually old school. We used to do this is we're going to take one pre-submitted question, take one YouTube pre-submitted question, but then we'll just open it up to kind of any live question as well. That way, it's not like you're live and they're like, oh God, I gotta wait till the end of the queue. So we'll keep it going. So in here, let me do this here. So, I was supposed to have a clock up here. Hold on, guys. Where's my clock? Trusty. Okay, there we go. So we'll say we started about, I don't know, maybe a few minutes ago. Star or Snowflake. Okay, so let's do this and let's see. Can I get a good paint? So this one is star schema. No, this is Snowflake, sorry. And I'll try to explain what we're talking about. All right, folks. So generally, I don't use the terms star Snowflake, although anybody who's familiar with data warehouse design and that sort of stuff, they would know what that is. Generally, I just say, kind of data table, lookup tables. And of course, if you've been through my course or been through my tutorial on YouTube, you know that, the classic way that we build that is one data table. And maybe I'll bring up a kind of a sample file, and it has a bunch of lookup tables, and the lookup tables correspond to the who, what, where, when, how. So that's the classic structure. As it turns out, in data warehouse terminology, that is what's called a star schema, because now don't arrange it in a star, please don't. Arrange it the way we prescribe it, which is, the lookup tables up top, and the data table at the bottom. But, you can imagine visually that you could, if you wanted to, arrange the, kind of the data table in the middle, and then lookup tables around, and then it kind of looks like a star. But again, please don't do that. That's just right. So, that's the concept of star schema. Now, Snowflake is when you have a data table, and it has a lookup table, and that lookup table has its own lookup table, right? So actually, I am going to bring up one of my sample files. So now for those who are starting out, simple is good, right? Simple is good. Best practices are good. They're great. And, you may not get it initially, but you can just trust your teacher. Hopefully you can find a teacher you can trust and kind of follow them, kind of blindly for a little bit till you get your bearings, till you really understand. And one day you go, oh, I get it. That's why he keeps saying that. That's important, right? So it may not come right away. But until then, if you have a teacher you can trust, you can kind of follow that best practice. So, of course, in our course, we talk about that. In our tutorial on YouTube, we talk about that. We talk about some of the best practices, a lot of them around relationships. And what Steve is saying is definitely a best practice, right? So the best practice is that, this is discouraged. Lookup tables shouldn't have lookup tables. Yeah. And, right, so this is encouraged. So again, that's the best practice. But once you go beyond that, you realize that the right answer to any Power BI question is the lawyer answer, which is it depends. Right? So, and that's frankly where the fun is. So if you do get into that terrain, hopefully it's kind of a mindset thing. I mean, don't like feel frustrated by it. Enjoy it. Enjoy that journey. And I really enjoy when we step into that. Man, like DAX and Power Query. Again, for beginners, it's clear cut. It's like, oh yeah, use Power Query for clean sheet transform data, use DAX for numbers. But once you step beyond that, it's not that clear anymore. And, then you gotta kind of decide how you proceed. So it depends. So, but since we're talking about this, let's dive in a little bit. And hold on, guys, I'm trying to, I don't know. Okay, there we go. So what does it depend on? Which one do you choose? So let's see. Okay, I think I have my example up. So folks who have actually gone to the source AdventureWorks database. So the data set that I use is called AdventureWorks, and this one comes from Microsoft. And anybody who has gone to the actual data set knows that this is not how that data set comes. In fact, in the data set, the product table has another table called product subcategory, and this links to that, and then subcategory links to another table, which is product category. Now, of course, what this is I think what's called the third normal form in databases, right? So, yeah, and that's the thing, right? What works well for databases, right? Power BI model is not a database; it's something else. It's a cube model, right? It's a cube-based system, and that's why star schema definitely not third normal form, right? So the product category, product subcategory, and product category. Now, so Steve, if I were to ask you, which is a better choice, to have the product category subcategory kind of flattened in one lookup table, or have it be in a lookup table and then another lookup table? What would you say?
Say that again for me. The product.
So in the source database AdventureWorks, the category and the subcategory is not part of the product table, because they do this third normal form thing. So product table has a subcategory key which links to a subcategory where you can actually see the subcategory, and then that one has a category key which links to product category table. So is that shape good? Is that what you?
No, it seems like it's just getting too complicated. If you can, yeah. I mean, you say
for whom?
Well, for a person looking at it, maybe. I don't know. You'll save data, but
would you save data
if you flattened it? No, if you didn't flatten it, you'll save.
Okay, I'll put a question mark on that.
Well, yeah. Maybe I don't know what I'm saying here.
Yeah. No, you're kind of half right. Don't let me throw you off. Okay, cool. So it'll be you said complicated, right? And it'll
Well,
be uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know. Complicated is the
You're not wrong.
where it gets where I you know if I've watched a few things, read a few things, and it seems like the star schema is preferred for Power
Well,
BI.
yeah, but so it's less complicated than I think it is, and you're on the right track. All right, so let's
Yeah.
stay there, and for
Okay.
one, let's go with the complicated one. Yeah, it's that structure is crazy. That's insanity. So again, I mean, if I go in here and product has kind of category, subcategory, and category, that structure is totally insane because it doesn't make any sense, right? It's complicated. It's overly complicated. Any human being using it, and there are
Yeah.
generally two roles, right? One is the author, and one is the user of the report. Well, frankly, so there are two roles, right? One who is the model author, then there is a report creator, and then there is a report user. Generally, the report users are not gonna care because they only see the chart you put up there. But both the model author and the report creator, they're gonna have to struggle with that, right? I mean, like, oh, product is here. Oh, categories in that table, and just imagine you hunting through the field list, and it's just harder, right? So it is complicated. You were spot on there, and
Yeah.
again,
You have to
both
follow the
for
relationships.
yeah,
You
it's
know.
just like where is that and all that stuff. And hey, if it's complicated for two, I know in Microsoft and in the finance things, their hierarchies for whatever cost center, it was like 6 or 7 deep. Eh, That would be really insanity, right? So sometimes we can intuitively feel that it doesn't make sense. Fair enough? Right? I mean, we can intuitively
Yeah.
feel that why a star schema is better because it just puts everything that makes sense together, and that is one of the driving principles for star schema. So again, so we think about star schema Snowflake, but what is it? It is basically representing our world, right? And sometimes people are so I'm not saying it's you, but I've talked to many people who are so fixated on like the data and the problem they're trying to solve, they forget what it is you're doing. You're modeling your real world, right? So they're like, oh yeah, we have this table and that table and then this and then I need this report. And right, I mean, like they're not focused on the model because model again represents the real world. So in a real world, product or the who, what, where, and how, these are tangible entities that hopefully anybody can understand. It's like, yeah, I know what a customer is, right? And so then you say if it's a tangible entity which I can understand, then their attributes go here. Fair enough, right? And that's why that's kind
Okay.
of another way to look at it. It's like, yeah, it makes sense to have subcategory and category here because this represents, right? This obviously digital entity represents a physical concept, and yeah, category and subcategory are attributes of products, so they belong here. So that's kind of one way to look at it. But this is the easy scenario. This is the easy scenario. What about the other stuff where it's not that clear? And I think you have a case for that. And I'm gonna change the example just a little bit. Maybe it's gonna be more relatable to others, and more so because I've also kind of come across it in this manner, which is I have. So basically, what you have is so here I was taking an example of something around a lookup table, right? But what you have is imagine there is a sales order table which shows me each sale item, and then there is a sales order detail, or as I remember, there's a purchase order and purchase order detail. It's pretty similar to your scenario, right? I mean, you have
Yeah.
okay, right. So yeah, great. So we'll go with that. So imagine there is a kind of a sales order or purchase order, and then purchase order detail. Now for this one, if that's all I know, the best answer I can give is it depends, right? But then let's dig in and what does it depend on? So when I'm flattening tables, right? I mean, I look for a few things, right? So one that I would look for is like, do they kind of belong together? For instance, well, I don't know, like obviously purchase order detail can belong together, right? I mean, they're kind of, well, variety of apples, somewhat related, right? Versus if I was looking at purchase order and then support tickets, and I've seen people who mash those data sets together for reasons we're not going to get into today. But so that's going to be obvious. So that's kind of just kind of a gut feel. It's like could they fit together? In this case, they kind of can, right? And oh God, so sales order, purchase order detail. What's the next thing that I would look at? I would probably look at number of columns, and I actually don't even know why yet. But imagine if the we'll call this table A. Table A. Table B. Oh yeah. Oh, so of course this sometimes is kind of sometimes in an easy scenario. Like if purchase order detail only has a few columns, then it's an easier decision to merge it in. So let's actually step back a little bit. Sorry, I went too deep before realizing it, right? So the key is that if we keep it as a snowflake, let's say this has 100 rows, right? And this has 100 rows as well. If we keep it as a snowflake, it's gonna. God, no. How's it gonna work? Oh, I get it. Sorry. I'm going too fast. Let's try it in Excel. So we have PO number, and let's go A, B, C, and some detail like PO detail, right? So this is one table. And then we have PO number, and then PO item number, so maybe it has more detail, and this is PO item detail, and this could be one or more columns, right? Good so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this one we're gonna say A, and B, right? Maybe we'll do a C as well. And PO item 1, 2, 1, 1, right? And some detail. So if we create Snowflake, then we'll have these two tables, 3 rows and 4 rows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oops. And this guy has 4 rows. Simple. How many rows are we going to have if we combine them?
4 rows?
Yeah, that's right. But the columns are going to change. How do I?
So you'd have...
Oh shoot. Insert. So we would have PO detail, and these can be many columns, right? So this one, it has the same number of rows as this one, but it can become pretty wide, right? So yeah, man, this one is really kind of, you gotta look at the data. So now that I can see it, I think I can feel it a little better. So example, this has 20 columns of its own. This is detail specific to the PO number. It has nothing to do with the item number, the detail. It is at the PO level. Sounds good?
Mm-hmm.
And this one has 20 columns which are specific to item, right?
Yeah.
I would probably leave them as separate tables, because 2020 sounds kind of reasonable. And again, think about it from a user, from an author perspective, a report creator. I can find my way through. But if I combine, I end up with 40 columns, or if you count the case, 42. And it becomes a bit of a hunt. And I know there's search and all that stuff, right? But yeah, right? So, and again, you can exaggerate it more in your mind if you want, right? So imagine if that's had 50 columns and 50 columns, right? I mean, the bigger the number gets,
Yeah.
the harder. I mean, the less inclined I would be to put them together.
Sure.
Makes sense,
And
right?
then,
So again, just a guideline, right? That's one point.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if there's now this just came to mind. So say there was something in it that was going to you may want to change at some point, like a price or something. Then you'd want to have it in a. You only want to change it in one place. You don't want to
Oh,
change it,
well, so there are no
or if it,
common columns in here. There shouldn't be. This one has the detail that applies at the PO level,
oh
right?
yeah yeah
Like,
no yeah
so for example, like purchase order is going to have, hey, who bought it, who is it being shipped to, and so forth. Item detail might have, oh, they bought this item, right? That's the SKU number. That's the color for that item, right? So there shouldn't be any overlap between these
okay
two,
yeah.
right? I hope there isn't in your data, right?
I was thinking if there was something like price or something in some other
Oh,
lookup
yeah,
table.
yeah. So if you do have common things, then you got to figure out what does it apply to? Does it apply to PO? Is it always same for a given PO? Then
Right.
just keep it in one place. Keep it in PO. If it's like no, it can change. Like in PO, the color sometimes it can be red, can be blue, depending, right? So then you will say, oh, then it applies to the item number, right? So you would pick a spot, and that's pretty common in what I see in folks' models here, and I'm sure you have seen it. I'm sure we have all done it at some point. Where the incoming data comes in with maybe a date field, but it also has year, fiscal quarter, and all that stuff. And then when we link to calendar, we're supposed to delete all of those because you don't need it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
all of that is coming from lookup table. That's the same idea generally, right? So if something is at a PO level detail, that needs to live here, right? Because for one, frankly, it's going to be more compact, right? I mean, if you have three POs, I mean, this is obviously a made up example, right? I mean, the number of detail rows is always going to be more. So if there's a column which applies really at the PO level, it really needs to live there. That makes sense, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Because again, it'll be wasteful. I mean, you could do it to POM, but I mean, this will detail will always have more rows. So one thing that we talked about was kind of number of columns, and that made sense, right? So higher number of columns, less
Yeah.
inclined to
Flat.
kind of flatten. Yeah. To combine. Let's say. So that's one.
Yeah.
What's the other one? The other one is fun. And see, so Steve, man, you gotta give yourself credit for this, dude. You were spot on both of these. So we did talk about this, kind of complicated and right, complicated, simple, and you said save data, and this one is an interesting one because, and again, most databases are set up this way. Databases are generally always set up this way, right? So, I mean, they don't call it Snowflake; it's a third normal form, but it kind of looks like Snowflake. And they're set up because the way data is stored in databases, SQL and all that stuff, is different. It's row based generally, and that has big repercussions. Although that's changing now. You can do columnar storage in SQL and all this stuff, but we're gonna ignore it for now. So it does save space. It is more compact. Not so for Power BI. Not so for Power BI. In fact, it can be the opposite.
Mm.
And a lot of people, and I trip up on that, especially come from database background, right? So in this one, it uses columnar storage, so you can actually save space by combining them together. And again, it doesn't make sense looking from the database because again, so when you read about third normal form and all this stuff, what they talk about is in third normal form they talk about redundancy and like, oh yeah, you should never have redundancy, is a bad thing, which is basically a thing being repeated multiple times, right? So imagine if PO detail we had the customer name, right? So A was Adam, this was Barry, and if you smashed it together, well, you're gonna have Adam repeated twice. And they really fixate on that, rightly so, because for database technology that is bad. It's like, oh, why are we repeating it twice? We can just have it in a lookup table and then it's just once and it saves storage. That is true for database, not true, in fact, maybe the opposite for Power BI. So for Power BI, since we're using columnar storage, it can be more efficient. Now, the tricky part is that you can't always say. So now, of course, storage and all, I mean, it comes more into play when you're playing with bigger data set. For smaller data sets, you would notice zero difference generally, right? So usually I'm thinking along these lines only when it's a bigger data sets, 100 million rows or more, north of that. Anything smaller probably is not going to matter that much. But the general answer is to just try it. And we did this one with student. And I said, you already have, how much like your PBIX file size is. Create a copy of that, merge it together, and then, obviously delete these ones, and then compare the two. And in his case, it actually reduced the file size quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, DAX, the Power BI compression, data storage compression is kind of insane. And yeah, you never know what kind of awesome stuff it can do. And the way it works is that by putting it all in one table, you give it more of a chance to optimize it more efficiently. So that's kind of the story. So basically the short version there is that you can try both ways and see how much it reduces the file size if you really want to try this out. Sounds good?
Yeah. So I did, both of those, if you look at the file size, are basically identical.
Yeah, for a small, I don't know how big your data set is, but
it's really small. I mean, it's like 1K.
Yeah. So frankly, for a small data set, I wouldn't even try it. It's not worth trying, right? I mean, I would just go by my other instincts, a number of columns and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah. No, just trying to, what's for the stuff that I do, everything is so small that it doesn't matter in terms of performance, but just in terms of best practice. And
then go with the other stuff. I mean, from what I'm seeing from your data set, where did that go? It was in Excel. I'm leaning more towards flattening it because again, it has so few kind of columns, right? So it doesn't make sense to have it in a separate thing. Just put it together, right? So again, right? So it's kind of more like a feel thing, but hopefully you're getting what I'm feeling based on, and it is, this is a very human-oriented answer, right? I mean, and again, we talked about like complicated. Why is it complicated? And in some cases were obvious. So yeah, you can feel your way through this, and so I'm definitely kind of leaning towards this in this data.
So either one is right. It's just
yeah. Oh, definitely. You can rarely use the words kind of right or wrong in any of these kind of scenarios, but I would lean towards this.
One thing that I read about the Snowflake, though, if you started to introduce other tables, you might get some unexpected behavior.
It's harder to introduce other tables? Is that what you said?
Well, that you could get unexpected results if you didn't do it properly.
Yeah. Well, that depends on the data set. It's hard to answer that without looking at a data set which has that going on. But yeah, it's not. It's a departure from the normal Snowflake.
Yeah.
Right. So the classic model is this, guys. Right. So of course, anybody who's been through the course, and even the tutorial, they know it, right? I mean, it becomes a game of plug and play, and I love it, right? So you have these lookup tables, which are pretty enduring. These are standard entities, which again make sense, right? These are entities which anybody in your business would understand, and they generally stay static. They don't change that much. I mean, once you have a product table, it's going to stay there. And then you bring in new data tables and you plug and play. So when you bring in a new data table, you say, what does it connect to? Oh, it connects to product, it connects to calendar, and boom, you're good to go, right? So that's how easy it is. So that's default. So anytime you depart from that, it's possible that you bring in a new thing and like, oh God, I mean, I need to use that, but then it's connected to this. But again, it's hard to kind of answer that without the data set.
I'll say one more thing about my model, and then we move on.
All right.
So this table is that meat analysis handle table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really a data table.
Yeah.
Because that will change every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you do the Snowflake, you're going to be updating a lookup table and a data table every day.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's not
Yeah,
necessarily a problem, right? I mean, if you
yeah. So the
yeah.
lookup table was by design supposed to be sort of static. It's not. It gets records
Well,
added.
that's the 101 level, right? I mean, yep,
Yeah,
everything is awesome kind of worldview adventure works, right? I mean, everything is yep perfect, right? But the real world isn't like this. I wish we all wish it
yeah.
were
I'm
like
learning.
adventure works, but it never is. So the
Yeah,
real world is gonna have scenarios. Like I mean, the scenario you're describing. So of course, you have kind of races and tracks and that stuff going on. But again, the purchase order detail. Every single organization has a version of that,
yeah,
every single organization, right? So it's so common, and I wouldn't call
yeah.
either of them like they're not data tables, but they're often like one becomes like a lookup table to others. So yeah, so those things kind of start to break down a little bit. Like you can't really say. So if you do keep this model, is this a data table or is it a lookup table? Hard to say, right? So things kind of start to get blurry, and but that's
It's
okay,
a
right? I
data
mean,
it's a data table relative to the calendar table, and it's a
exactly. Yep.
lookup table relative
Bingo.
to the other
Yeah,
table.
yeah, exactly, right? But yeah, so
Both.
so I guess that. All right, awesome, man. That's
Okay.
good.
Thank
Uh,
you very much.
all right, folks. So hey, let's do. What was I gonna do? I was gonna do a random number generator. So I think I heard. Let me see if I missed somebody. Fabio, I think. Oh, Ganesh had a question. Okay. Oh well, I mean yeah. So Ganesh, let's see. Fabio, did I add Fabio? Oh, I know some of you have other questions. So next up, folks, we'll take a live question from you. So just save up for now. Um, oh, yeah. Sorry, I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to hold up which one I'm answering. Hold on, guys. So what I'm gonna do is July 24th and done. Oh shoot. Wait, what happened here? I think ignore this guy then. So this was last week. Mm, so search. Let's see. Blank values. This was answered early. Oh, this is it. So folks, this is the one we were answering. And yeah, so we just answered this one. So let's see. All right, so let's see who's on from YouTube. So whoever kind of goes first will take your question. Um, sorry guys, I know it's kind of random, but uh, so yeah, so whoever we hear from, I know there's a lag on YouTube. I'm trying to think of how do you buy the time till we get that. Alejandro. Okay, got it. All right, so Alejandro. So folks, yeah, I mean, if your name is there, then yeah. So we're gonna rotate. We're gonna take one question from kind of students, one from YouTube who pre-submitted, and then we'll just kind of check in live, right? That way, if you forgot to pre-submit, you don't have to like wait till 3 hours to get your questions answered, right? So, but Alejandro, let me find your question, and here it is: identify top 28 mix. So we're answering this now. And folks on YouTube, if we need, if your question is involved enough and we need to have you call in, we'll do that. We'll have you dial in so that we can go through it a little bit easier. Okay, but for now, let me read the question. It comes with a file. I have a measure that is the sale. You know what? Let's just see what the file is. Oh, download. Talk Power BI 2020, and this is 2020-07-24. All right, so again, folks, if you go to talkpowerbi.com, you have the links to pre-submit. Students have their own special link, and you have a link to the Trello board. You can look through, follow along. You can see the submitted question. You can see which one kind of we're answering right now. And right now we're looking at this one. So I have a measure that is sales mix of stores. Did I open that file? Hold on, let me make sure I. Here we go. All right, so the file is opening. And for the third time, I'm going to try to read the question. I have a measure that is the sales mix of stores. It'll always be sorted from highest to lowest. What I want to build is another measure to flag the top 80% of the mix from highest to lowest. So I can use conditional formatting, one color for the top 80% and other color for the bottom 20%. That is, I would say, sorry, I do want to help you, but that's usually the opposite. Usually the top you like 20% of your stores should be generating 80% of your sales. So usually you look at the top 20% and there's just a few, and then the bottom, the rest, right? The bottom 80%. But it seems you're doing the opposite. Not that it matters, but okay, that's good. All right. Look at this. Oh my God. Alejandro, thank you. We're going to use this as a role model for how to submit your questions, folks. This is awesome. I love you, mate. This is great. So yeah, you got to. Oh man. I'm not leaving till we help you with this, because this is awesome. So you have that, and he shows the screenshot, and he shows what is expected. Like, this is what I have, this is what I want. Got it. Okay, so again, let's just take a peek at the diagram. Although I was expecting it to be simple, which is good. You notice, guys. I did this out of habit. So of course we talk about it in this course, where I take the data table. It's always lower, and I always stretch it. I make it visually bigger, because I never want to lose sight of this, guys. That's how important this stuff is, right? Usually when I look at somebody's model and I start like, which is your data table? And they go, what? Right? If you don't even know, you just pulled a bunch of tables and then tried to create a report without thinking about the model. Trust me, you've lost the battle already. You know that, yeah, I'm thinking about the war movies and stuff, right? Sometimes you're like, you're dead, but you don't know it, that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, you've been shot through, you're bleeding, you're going to die. It's just a matter of time, right? So you've already lost the battle, and it's going to get harder and harder. You're going to be hitting your head on a wall, complaining about this. So that's that road, versus you take a step back and learn this stuff, right? So I never let myself forget it. Even to this day, I would make it longer. Why? Because it's a data table, and data table is supposed to be lanky, which is what? I'm sure I didn't know that word as a kid. It's tall and thin, right? So they're tall because they have lots of rows, and that's why it's that way. And they don't have lots of columns, right? So that's why lanky. These guys are squat, which is they don't have as many rows, so they're kind of short, but they're wide. They have lots of columns. Anyway, so that's a quick modeling lesson, which of course we go into a lot more detail inside our course. So clean model, simple model, that's good. And guys, if you saw this, this is a great example of how to submit questions. So he obviously kind of recreated just a small, simple data set he created a small, simple data set to recreate his problem and sent that in, right? And it makes it super easy. So I see what he's doing. He makes a mix of sales, percentage of sales. That's how I would think of it. Total sales. So I'm just going to do some basic check just to make sure that there are no surprises in there. I'm expecting total sales to just be a sum measure. And it is, which is good. And the mix of sales is something, total sales, calculate total sales, all selected. Yep, that's good enough. So now we want to figure out that, are you in the 80%? Ooh. So here's what I'm going to do here, guys. So this is a good one. Man, should I give it a gold star already? I'm feeling this one. I'm really feeling it, guys. Alejandro, thanks for this. It's a great question. So let's go. Oh God, not a. Well, 0724. All right, guys. So I exported that data. Awesome. Whew, thank God. And let's look at this. Okay. And I'm going to come back here and get this data set. Oh, get the screenshot. All right, guys. So those of you who've been around me for a long enough time have heard me say this a few times. Human learning comes before machine learning. I can't take credit for that. You know, so it was, gosh, what was the guy named? Sandy. Brilliant guy. We used to design, I don't know, like, you know, whatever, machine language models, something like that. Right? So really smart guy. And they were looking for cybercrime, and yep, it's a, you know, kind of a cat and mouse game. And yeah, so he said, Avi, human learning comes before machine learning, which I realized that it's not actually true because AI systems can learn on their own, but for this one, human me, right? So human learning comes before machine learning, and guys, that's sometimes the challenge that we face with Power BI, because we don't think like machines. And again, if you've heard me talk about this, sometimes we feel like we're not smart enough. I'm not smart enough. This is too hard. This is too complicated. I don't know it. I don't understand it. Whereas it's the opposite. You need to dumb yourself down to understand it, because humans are intuitive, and that becomes our downfall sometimes. Because this stuff goes step by step. So you need to slow yourself down. And sometimes that can be a little bit painful. But, you know, I've come to enjoy it, you know. Think of it like meditation, right? So we're going to... And sometimes on these calls folks, I slow it way down. And frankly, I do it even with clients, even with real stuff. And earlier, often I'm working with clients in a scenario where they can see my screen live. Whether I'm working online with them or when I used to travel to the clients, we would have it up on the screen. And initially I would get regularly flushed, you know, like, oh my God, you know, I mean, they're seeing all the dirty laundry. But I've gotten okay with it, you know, and I let them, if I'm embarrassed, I let them know. And you guys all know that sometimes I run into dead ends and may not be able to solve. And I've been told that it still helps to see the process. All right, so human learning comes before machine learning. So I'm going to ask you, so on the phone, you help me out. How does a human figure out that this needs a 1 here? All right, come on, guys. Unmute yourself. Help me out. How would you know that this is 1? So again, for humans, it's intuitive. It's like, oh, top 80% needs to be flagged as 1 or true. But how do we actually know? How do we actually know? Come on, guys. One of you. You know the answer, right? So if I said, you know, flag the ones which comprise the top 80% as 1, you intuitively know the answer, don't you?
So you put a cumulative total percent there.
God, who is that? James. Ugh. 1 for James. Yes. Yeah, so think about it, right? I mean, so again, I mean, we do it intuitively, but you need a cumulative. So I'm going to do that in Excel here. Sum this columns $C$2. I'm so... Oh, God. Why didn't it work? Oops. C2. Okay. I feel so smart for knowing that formula. And let's do this. Right? So that's how we're going to do it. Cumulative. And now we can do it, right? So if you think about it, if Alejandro had spotted the step, he would have realized that that's the next thing he needs. So you see how so again, I mean, frankly, guys, the solution isn't important, right? Because you're not going to have this problem that Alejandro is having. But if you get this concept, it's going to change everything, right? So if you find that missing step that you're intuitively taking a leap over, and you teach that to this dumb machine, then you're going to be okay, right? So again, if you can teach this, then imagine how easy our job becomes. If we create this measure, then all we have to say is that, oh, if this is less than 80 or zero point 0.8, then 1, right? That's how easy our job is, right? But if you don't realize this step, then all is lost. All right, now of course there's a little bit more there. We wouldn't flesh into it, but if you realize to do a cumulative percentage, you need a cumulative kind of sales. Oh man, this is actually trickier than I thought. How would you do a cumulative by rank? Man, I'm at a loss. Hopefully some of you guys can help me. I mean, I can do a cumulative, but it's not going to be ordered. All right, you know what? I'm gonna tackle this offline, Alejandro. So sorry, I kind of overpromised, underdelivered, but I'm kind of feeling it. But I think it would take too long for me to struggle through this. So yeah, but we'll come back to you. You know, so we'll yeah, awesome. All right, guys. So sorry, this feels like we didn't go all the way, but yeah. So I don't know. Follow up. So again, cumulative sales is actually can't cumulate. Yeah, the order, that's the tricky one. Okay, cool. So moving on, Alejandro, with some apologies. So let's see if somebody has a question on the phone or YouTube. Just type it in. We'll take maybe a few live questions, or depend on how deep we get. But yeah, anybody on the phone has any question? Or on YouTube? All right, so let's go. All right, James, you had submitted a question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to yours. And Ganesh, if you're ranking, yeah.
I've never used Dropbox before. I don't know if it worked.
Okay. Okay, so Ganesh is saying, I know that we can create columns in the Power Query Editor, Kitchen of Power BI, and also in Modeling Pane using DAX. When should we do one over the other? What's the difference? Create rank based on sales. Yeah. Okay, so Vicente Sousa has a question. What is the easiest, most cost-effective way to having Power BI Pro? Well, the easiest way is to sign up for a trial. Now, sometimes people struggle because they don't have a work email address. And there are some who believe that that's just preposterous. The requirement to have a work email address. So, like, what does that even mean these days, And imagine any other service outside of Microsoft, anybody else launching that way. Imagine Slack launched that way, where they said, oh, you have Gmail. Sorry, not allowed, right? So that world is just impossible. It doesn't exist. Only inside this weird Microsoft bubble, which has changed, is a lot more welcoming now. But God, I mean, right, really? So, but there is a workaround it. So you go check out this video, how to create a Power BI account without a work email. So if you don't have a work email, you can try that. But otherwise, yeah, so a trial. That's the easiest way. And trial, of course, gets it for free, and after that, it's $10 a month. You can't go lower than that, unless you're friends with somebody who has a premium license, and then you can be a reader to their reports, which would be boring, And of course, well, the easiest way is that you give up on your PowerBI.com dreams for a bit, and just focus on Power BI Desktop, which is free, right? So that's for you. Ganesh, I'm going to answer your question really quick. So Ganesh is asking, can we create? So we can create columns in the query editor, Kitchen of Power BI, and the modeling pane. My answer is always the query editor. Okay, maybe 99.9%. So they're both static, right? And the query editor has a lot more tools available. So since it's a kitchen, you got the blender, you got all the knives. So it's got the trash can, right? So those who have no idea what the trash can in Power BI is, go check out some of my videos or the course, right? So it has all the tools, so you're better equipped there. That's the best place to add a column. And in DAX, it's just you don't have the trash can. You don't have kind of that step-by-step functionality. You can do it, but it's just harder. So why do it, right? So that's 99.9%. The small exception, frankly, I only know one thing, but that gives you kind of an example of something which I don't know how to do in query editor yet, or even if I could figure it out, it feels hard, which is traversing a hierarchy. And DAX has a function for that, which I can't remember. But anyway, so it's very, very rare. So yeah, generally always query editor. All right, cool. So hopefully, folks, that helped. Let's go to James. Let's see if I can find your question.
It feels easy. I just want to have a way of putting a horizontal line on a time series graph
Oh
at
yeah.
+2 and -2 standard deviations.
Oh,
So you can.
I should have waited for that part. Yeah. And had you submitted this? I'm not finding it here.
I thought I did. I tried to do it through the
Okay. Okay, no worries. We'll take it out. So yeah,
yeah.
the question is
So you don't
straightforward.
have my little my dummy file. You don't have that. Sorry. But yeah, so that's it.
No
So
worries.
I have
I'll
I
check
have like
again. So,
20 brands and like 15 markets, and I want to like say for this brand and for this market, chart the historical sales over the last 12 months, and then just so you can visually see where your extra statistical spikes were, I want to put these horizontal lines across the visual that recalculate for every combination of filters.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of get it. I wonder if I can kind of recreate it here.
I can't like drop it into the Zoom chat box or anything, can I?
Yeah. Yeah, just put the link in there.
Can I try
Yeah,
that? I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 6 rows of data.
Yeah.
Let's see. In the meantime, though, please let's work in parallel because I'm not confident in my ability to do that.
Okay. So folks, sometimes we want like marker lines here, and
yes,
and of course so sometimes I know when I was starting out, I was like, how do I do that, right? I mean, and of course the answer is you create a measure which returns the same number for anything that's on the axis, right? So obviously imagine if your lines were static, like, oh, it needs to be at 2 and 4, then you would have measure 1 equals 2, measure 2 equals 4, and that's it, right? So that, and you drop that measure, and that's how you get a horizontal line. So, and again, I mean, it wasn't obvious to me when I was starting, but of course, we don't want to hard code it in this case. We need a measure which, kind of returns a standard deviation +2 and -2. So let's see what's the best option we can use here. All right. So we have sales.
I just put my like dummy link in there, but it's just an Excel file. I feel like maybe you have something on the screen already.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll probably work with that in parallel too. And here, if we do a new measure, Oh, there we go. Man, I haven't used standard deviation in a while. Population, and then this says column. I don't want that, so I want the other one then.
I was thinking that the mean would be the mean over the last 12 months. And then, you know,
Oh,
if you had a
yeah, you're right. I gotta start with mean, yeah. So let's do mean, and that is gonna be over the last several months, right? So average. Okay, I'm feeling this now. Yeah. Okay, so average X, and I want to take it over months in this case. What's you're doing over months as well? So values.
yeah.
I'm gonna say calendar. Maybe I'm gonna do month, year. That way, even if it spans multiple years, it's still gonna work. So calendar, take month, year, and for each of those, just do sales, the average of sales. Okay. All right. So we got the average, and I'm expecting that to be kind of a flat line, something like that. Actually, maybe not. I think I realize I made a mistake here. So you'll see the measure. I don't think it's going to be a flat line, but we'll come back and fix it. So again, I'm going to add this in here, and it actually just superimposes that line, right? So and I know the mistake here. So I come back here, and I need to do, I feel like all selected. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. We'll see if it works. Nope. What is... Oh god. So I didn't like that. What if I say calculate table, give me this, but we're all selected. Let's see how that works. Oh, God. Give me 2 more tries. We could just use calendar month year. Maybe it's simpler than what I'm thinking. Hold on, let me get the month year there. Month year, this guy. Okay, so I got the month year, and maybe I just do all. All calendar month year sales. Oh man, somebody help me out. Use R. This. Oh, maybe.
I was trying to add up all the months and like divide by 12. And then I was trying to like Yeah, I didn't do it either. That's why I asked.
Oh, God. Oh, man. That was that was weird. Okay, let's check this in a table. So, folks, by the way, I mean, when I get into trouble, um, I almost always debug in a table, and I'll admit I love debugging in Excel. So I often connect Excel to Power BI and then see that in the table, because I mean, imagine how easy it is going to be for me to verify this in Excel, right? I mean, you know, you just, yeah. So for this one, I have to pull out the calculator and just to, or I could have pulled out Excel, I guess. 16473, let's just do that, divided by 12. 1372.75. Yeah, so that's close enough. So we'll call it good, right? That looks like the right answer, right? That's the right mean.
Yeah.
You would say so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So again, yeah, debug. You can do that in table. Maybe we'll keep the table here for now. Let's go back to mean, and oh, I'm just gonna fix the decimal. Okay, there we go. So, folks, the big gotcha here, and it does get me every single time, and people have had to bail me out. Yeah, because so, and it gets me every single time, because if you follow the principles like the way I described, the ICANN principle, the way DAX works, I is the first step, which is the incoming filter context. Visually, you know, you would say the filter context is on the month year column, calendar month year. And that's how it works. You know, remember there is Power BI inside Excel. And frankly, that's where I started. And in Excel Power BI, that's how it works. But Power BI does something of its own. It automatically adds the sort by column in the filter context as well. And God, I don't know why it does that, because again, clearly Excel Power BI doesn't do that, doesn't need that. So I don't know why it needs that. Yeah, I always forget. So again, this is implied. It's not. There's no filter anywhere on month year num. It's not in my table. I'm not even using it. Again, it's just a sort by column. So that was the bigger gotcha. And ignore my stumbling around earlier before that. So okay, cool. But I feel like we're kind of getting closer here. So we have that, and maybe we'll stick with the table actually. Oop. Okay, so let's go to table here. Oh, man, I was supposed to start the timer or something. Oh, I don't know, 10 something. All right, come back here. So we have the mean. Let's just do standard deviation. I'm thinking now we're going to be fast. Now that we have the pattern. So do that. Modeling, new measure. There we go. Got that. And then the lines are really mean plus minus 2 standard deviation, right?
Yeah.
Is this the UCL LCL? Is that what it's called? Upper control limit? Or no, that's something else.
I don't know if it's called that,
Okay, I'll call it that.
but we can call it that if you like
Yeah.
to. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, although I've gotten into hot water with the the Six Sigma police. There's one video where I'm talking about some of this stuff, and they're like, Avi, you don't know anything. And I admit, guys, I mean, I got this Six Sigma green belt years ago, which I don't mention because I'm afraid somebody's gonna call me out on some of this stuff. But yeah, so
what we're doing with this is that it's targeting parts of history where we might sort of cleanse it so that our statistical forecast doesn't overreact and forecast sales too high in the future. That's like, was there a promo that made it cheap, which artificially spiked the demand? That's what we're going to do with this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a great way, and I think I'm trying to think back to my 6 notes. I mean, they would have other things that they would look for, like if once you define these control limits, then what they would do is they would look for these patterns. Like if something is like on the higher side of the control limit for 3 consecutive times or something, that was still a red flag. Anyway, you know what? I should probably shut up. But yeah, this can be a great tool to just look out for what needs my attention. And I think that's what kind of reporting is really all about, right? I mean, we're waiting in a sea of data. Nobody wants to look at that. Nobody really cares for the data. We only care for the insight. And the closer you can get people to it. So this is the file that James sent, and look at the screenshot, right? I mean, obviously, if you put these kind of lines there, then you know, you don't even have to draw a circle around there. I mean, people are going to say, oh, what's with that, right? Well, obviously, once they know kind of what these lines are, so it becomes easy to kind of get the insight. So we have that, and I'm just going to put that in here. So I'm going to put maybe all of them. So I'm going to put standard deviation, and which definitely does not need that many decimals. And we're going to put the lower control limit, which is here, and the upper control limit, which is here. And just look at that. So all right, and again, I would trust that number. I mean, we could, and again, pop in Excel to verify it. Ooh, what happened with I thought I fixed the decimal. Upper control. Let's try it in this graph. So for that graph, let's add the upper and the lower control limits. So lower, upper.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Obviously, you probably want to tweak the colors, and it seemed like you didn't care about the mean. We'll leave it there for now.
No, but I think it's cool to have.
Yeah.
We're in an early stage of Power BI conversion at our company. It's me so far, and you can see I'm not very good. So I feel like reassuring people that the mean is there and it's accurate, I think is positive.
Yeah. And hey, that's where it starts, mate. A lot of times, takes one person. So and of course, folks, the best part, and that's what I love about Power BI, and is what the big departure for me was from Excel. And it's a little bit of a mindset shift as well, because in Excel, anything that I built was very custom. It answered that question. And as soon as somebody said, oh, cool, this is awesome, can you show it to me for Canada? I would go, I'll be back in I don't know how many hours, right? I mean, you know, it's depending on the question. And again, the questions were so simple and obvious. You couldn't say that's a dumb question, don't ask. Not to a manager, right? But it would be hard. But in here, pretty much everything you build, and again, if you follow these principles, it helps, the modeling principles, is define once, use everywhere. So now I can come in here and put, let's say, a country slicer. And of course, this could be other graphs. They don't have to be slicers. Maybe I'll borrow that. Let's go over to sales report. And we have sales by country. Let's try product category. So we have that, and watch this graph. And right now it's, well, I mean, maybe watch these numbers. They'll be easy to see. 16, 1, 35, 37. Maybe I'll take a screenshot as well. So that's that one. And if I say show me for accessories, right, it changes. Everything updates, obviously, right? So I mean, and it's fun for me because sometimes you get jaded. You're like, yeah, you expect this, but then you show it to somebody else and they go, whoa, right? So yeah, it's and yeah, look, all the numbers change, and yep, it's showing standard deviation for what's selected, and you can say, well, how about accessories?
That is
in Canada?
spectacular. Hey, are
Yeah.
these videos available afterward? Like,
Yeah.
do you put them on YouTube or something?
Oh yeah, we're live on YouTube. Yep. So actually, that's a good question. I get asked that a fair bit. So let me take a second to kind of point it out. So folks, if you go to my channel, youtube.com/PowerBIPro, then we have 3 sections of the good stuff at the top. At the very top is this one, which is if you're starting out, you know, this is the place to start, right? So this has all of those videos, starting with the main 60-minute tutorial. That's the first one here. And after that, you can see. Oh, why didn't I do that? That's kind of weird. I thought we had it structured somewhat differently. But anyway, so look for this one, recent uploads and recording, and yep. So it's gonna have everything there. So of course this.
So this video right now is gonna
Yeah.
be available in like 20 minutes, like as soon as we're done.
Yeah. And of course, so folks, I realize, and I want to give you this file as well. So hold on for that. Let me save it. Something's going on. Oh God, what? There we go. Not here. So this one, 24, change, all right. Actually, where did that go? Yeah, there was sorry, there was supposed to be a section here to say upcoming live. I'll have to check with Marianne on that. Oh, I should remove that. Anyway, all right. So James, yeah, I'm gonna give you the link to the files as well. I'm gonna put that in the Zoom chat box.
Sweet.
Okay, so you have that, and well, you're gonna have to hunt around a little bit there. I think what you would see is you would see all the files we've ever used, but you know, just go to kind of 2020 and maybe sorted by date or something. But yeah, yours should be the most recent there. Okay, so you have the file control limit. Good question. That was fun. You know, maybe a little more so. Although I loved Alejandro's question, I do want to get back to it, but. Yeah, I couldn't dive into that one. All right, folks. So let's see. What was the order that we were doing? We were doing. I think we had just taken a question from a Learn Private student. So YouTube folks who had pre-submitted. Let me go to the list again. So Alejandro, we answered. Earlier, John was here, Juliet, Matthias, Nancy, Fabio. Yeah, you guys go, and we'll take a question. Let me just read through some of the comments. Ricardo is saying, Avi, have a request from a customer to give them a solution for inventory dashboard. Any tips from me? Well, so I can give you general tips. So my biggest tip for working with client or any, and again, it could be an internal client, so it doesn't really have to be. You don't have to be working a consultant role. The biggest tip is use the agile approach, right? So don't try to boil the ocean. Don't sit down and spend a week to do the requirements, or God forbid a month. Yeah, just bite down a little bit and just iterate really quick, right? So you say, so they would want this, right? So, oh yeah, we want this, we want this, we want that, we want all the dashboard and all this stuff. And say, well, what's the first thing? And sometimes some clients are good, some clients you need to kind of coach them a little bit, right? I mean, they'll say, oh yeah, we want this. I'm like, what's the first thing? Like, we want this, this, and this. Like, okay, out of these ones, which is the first thing, right? So I kind of scope it down, and there is a little bit of translation that goes into this, and Matthew Carmine, he did a beautiful session in our Power BI conference. Thanks to everybody who attended. He talked about this term of data story architect, but he also used the term translator, which does apply well because we're often translating. So a good Power BI professional really straddles the tech and the business. Maybe a little more on the business side, but definitely straddles it too. So you're going to have to do a little bit of a translation. Like, they're talking to me, and all I really care about when I'm initially meeting with them is figuring out what the heck, which data table are we talking about, right? So of course I don't say that. Sometimes I say it, but usually I don't. I just ask general questions. I say, well, what do you care about? What's the most important stuff? Something like that. And then when I find the data table, that's like the golden key that unlocks everything. Because then I can ask the next question, which is the set of W's. Who, what, where, when, how. So if this is my data table, what are the who, what, where, when, how associated with this data table? And then I ask them about that. All right, so yeah, go step by step. What else? Inventory dashboard. Well, depends. I mean, they would probably want to know. So if you can go in. Actually, this is good. Let's just stay here for a little bit. Ricardo. There we go. Maybe 30. Maybe you are familiar with this. Right? I mean, sometimes, like, if I'm working with a finance team, man, I've worked with finance teams, so I know generally kind of what they expect, what they're going to talk about. But sometimes I step into a new domain, and, you know, I mean, if you can do some research and go prepared. So not doing the research, but just thinking off the top of my head, if they're looking at inventory, the kind of things that they may be interested in is basically what's like, you know, show me everything that's in stock, right? That's one. Maybe they want to flag things that are out of stock, right? So that's kind of that could be the starting point, and then maybe so usually I would start here for one because it's simple. I like simple, right? I like starting with simple, getting easy wins, and you can do something crazy phenomenal here. If they haven't seen Power BI before, you show this to them in Power BI, it's going to blow them away, right? So that's where I start. But then, of course, you can dive deeper, and maybe there's going to be like movement. Like, how many average units are we moving per week, per month? How does it trend over time? How was it last week? How has it been in the last 12 weeks? How does it compare with that? And right, so things like that. So let's. I'm only going to go that far for now. Oscar, awesome. We'll add you on the list. And we're just gonna answer some YouTube questions and then switch back to our students. So, folks, if you're in this list, give us a shout out again. And first one whom I see, so Fabio. So the call dial-in is for the students. Once in a while, depending on the question, you know, if the question is like, frankly, really interesting and like, whoa, man, I would love to talk to you, we invite you on the call. But it's for a student. If you are a student, then maybe I should put the link in here. So if you're a student and online, so for Learn Power BI students, they have, we call it the Special Access Pass. Woo, yay. Yeah, we love that. And so that's for the students. You can dial in. There's a question. So Fabio, you are here. Would you like, so maybe we'll take your question. Celia is asking, does Power BI Online have the same building capabilities as Power BI Desktop? It does not. If you are a Power BI author or want to be a Power BI author, modeler, whatever you want to call it, man, you got to have Power BI Desktop, and obviously it doesn't work on Mac, unfortunately. There are some tricks you can use, like, I don't know, like, boy, I've done a video on this some time back. Let me see. If you just go to my channel and search for Mac, then you would find my video. Of course, there's other resources too, but that was the best knowledge that I had at that point of time. So yeah, so Power BI for Mac, and it shows. Let's see if it has the links down at the bottom in the description. Oh yeah, so it shows some of the options. So Windows Virtual Machine, Dual Boot, Parallels. I think this was my favorite, even though I don't have a Mac. VirtualBox, Cloud-based. So yeah, so check that out. I'm gonna put that link in the chat for you. So this is for Celia. All right, great. Oh, Matt is here. Wait, if you didn't make the connection, that's the guy I was talking about. And folks, so for those who are students in our program, you have early access to the replay. For everybody else, folks, I apologize. It's crazy. It's been a month and we haven't shared this with you. But if you're a student, check in the Facebook group. And if you're not in Facebook group, that's cool. Just reach out to us at our email address, which you have, and you do have access to the course and the replay for the conference. And let's find the link down below as well. It's learnpowerbi.com. Sorry about that. Let's see. Where is Matt? I think was under visualization. Yeah, there we go. And both of these sessions were phenomenal. And hey, I must say I'm a little proud because both of these are members in our Pro Plus program, and yeah, they hit it out of the park. So so yeah, you got the day 1 session 9 by Grace, and this is the data story architect we were talking about. Awesome. So yeah, visual momentum. By the way, visual momentum. That's yeah. Matt, go ahead and like whatever the link is for the data story architect, like if they can find it here, or if it's like I don't know, maybe in a blog or something, just post it here. That'll be great. So yeah. So and yeah, his talk was pretty insightful. And it's really encouraging us. So, folks, there's this phenomena that companies give you these weird titles. And I remember when I joined Microsoft, it was something really weird. It was like, I don't even remember what it was, but it was a really weird title. And I'm like, what is that? And my manager, he knew kind of that's what goes on. So he kind of apologetically said that, oh, don't worry, you can put like the relevant title on LinkedIn. So yeah, you have permission. So if you are serving as, you know, let's say a data story architect or Power BI modeler, feel free to put it that way on LinkedIn. You know, yeah, that's what you're doing anyway, right? So, so yeah, the Matt had a great idea there. John is here. Quick look at the calendar table in month-year formatting and AdventureWorks TV. Month-year formatting. Well, if you are copying it for yourself, okay, well, yeah, we can look at that. So who do we have from? Oh, Pete had a good comment, which I'm not sure I fully understand. You know, slippage or product loss between inventory cycles. Gosh, that's golden. Thank you, Pete. Wow, I love it. Ricardo, I think that's going to be great. if you don't know, like I don't know, if I was you, and obviously I don't know what that means, but I would look it up, and I know I would look really smart. Like, oh, have you considered this? Cool, we can get to it. Do you have a report which shows slippage? All right. Um, so let's see. So Fabio. So who do you have? Fabio and John. Let's see if we can tackle those two. So John has a question about calendar month num. And Fabio, I'm gonna just see if I can find your question here. And then we're gonna switch over and take one from students. So Fabio, what's Fabio Silva maybe? Yeah, I'm not finding a question here. Can you go to this and maybe find where your question is? Maybe tell me what is it called? Like, what were we asking about? Because I can't seem to search by your name. Cool. What is that? Go away, please. Yeah, so Fabio Silva, I tried both of those, didn't find it. All right, so John, let's see if I have my calendar table in this one. If it is the ultimate calendar, I think it is. So let's see month year formatting. Let's see what it looks like. So if we go to our calendar table, yeah, month year, we have two of these. Look fine to me. Yeah, so John, let me know what's going on. Polygon. Okay. Boy, that sounds scary to me already. I don't think I've ever answered any question. Wait, why can't I find this, guys? What is... I mean, you're finding it, not me. Oh, there we go. Oh, yay! Awesome. Okay, yeah, I got it twice. So let's see. Let's see if they're the same. Yeah, they look the same. Okay, good. I'm just gonna archive one of them. Oh God, I'm a little scared. How to know the point inside a polygon? I'm just gonna pull up his file. uh, Maybe it's not as hard. Oh God, it says map. Yeah. So Fabio, the thing is, like, I know Power BI, but so really, if you hired me, right, what I would say is that we're gonna have to do the human learning part. How would a human calculate it, right? I don't know. So let's see. Let's download your file. I don't know. Maybe there is a formula in your file, and then I would know. Maybe there's hope still. Okay, let's go. 2020, 724. This is Fabio. Points on a map. Oh, macro enabled. Ooh. Oh shoot! Is it running a macro? Oh God. At point inside. Ooh. Interesting. Yeah, I'll say I'm not gonna be of much help here. I mean, I could probably solve in Power BI, but it feels like this you would probably be best served using R or something like that. Mm, right? I mean, looking at the macro, I would again, I don't know R, so yeah, I can't do that. But I would probably maybe solve it in query editor or so MDAX. That's I stopped there. enough enough acronyms for me. Um, yeah, so let's look at that again really quick. So you're passing in one point and table as a range. So you're saying this point and this table is an inside, and then there's some logic that steps through. Um, yeah, I mean, if I had to do it, I would do it in the query editor. Knowing that query editor, of course, anything you do in query editor becomes static. It's not dynamic. You know the awesome moment we had with James, where we defined the uh, you know the average lines, and then I said, oh, click on accessories and click on bikes. You don't get that magic anymore with anything you do in query editor. It's just static, right? So that's a downside. But if it works, so that's how I would do it. No, I wouldn't recommend it. I definitely feel like this is R or something like that. And apologies. Maybe there should be a not answered column. Where did that go? Um, um, I'll just put it here anyway. Okay, so Fabio, John, we helped you guys. Let's go with Ganesh. I think I answered your question, right? James, of course, we answered that, so that leaves Oscar. Yeah, R may be better. I mean, of course. So Fabio is saying the problem is the performance to do it in DAX. Yep, you know that I looked at that stuff and I wouldn't reach for DAX. Query editor is what comes, but again, if you need dynamic results, right? So if it's dynamic in the sense that I don't know, the polygon may change, right, based on the selection by the user. Well, then query editor can't do it because it's just not dynamic. Then you're kind of stuck. But there is a hope with R and I guess Python. One of these guys. Yeah, these are your friends. Yeah. So you can define. Oh, actually, not sorry, not visualization. Actually, I know you can use R in query editor, but can you like call R inside DAX? That would be nice. I don't know. Sorry, never dealt there. If anybody else knows, then let me know. All right, so let's see if we can find Oscar's question. Sorry, Fabio, I couldn't really help you with that one. Career path. Ooh, I love these ones. Nice, awesome. I would like to know what would be the next step for me. Oh, 10, 50, 52. I'm not really good at tracking. So let's do 10, 51. And this is Oscar. I would like to know what could be the next step for me, having worked as financial analyst, FP&A analyst, MI analyst. I would like to get away from accounting financial jobs and concentrate more in data visualization, maybe business intelligence. I'm also considering consulting. I've done a bootcamp of PostgreSQL and mock confident querying and building databases. All right, so I'm going to ignore this part. Um, you know, we're just going to talk about Power BI here. Just kidding, half kidding. Right, and so Oscar, I would like to talk to you, talk you out of your approach and the way you're thinking about it, because our thoughts create a reality, and what I'm reading here, And sometimes I say it back to people and they say, no, that's not what I meant. Well, but that's how you're expressing it, and I would say that's how internally you're processing it as well. So you're thinking. So I'll you know so uh, so you're thinking, hey, I'm kind of here. I'm doing finance stuff, and I really want to be in this other spot, right? Which seems nicer to me. I want to go leave this behind and go to Power BI, right? And again, if you look at the language guide, so again, so folks, no matter where you are, I mean, fill in the blanks here, any role you're in, and fill in the blank here, any goal where you're headed, right? So this and what I'm gonna say is still gonna apply to you, right? So pay attention, right? So it's all for all of you, all of us, right? So look at the language here. I would like to get away from this, right? So leave it behind. So I'm gonna leave this behind and get to this spot. And I would say that's not the best course of action. And again, the key thing is not what you do, but what you think. If you think about it this way, then, well, that's the track you're on. So stop thinking about it this way. The best approach is to combine what you're doing with Power BI. So folks, so of course, if you go to learnpowerbi.com and learnpowerbi.com again. So if you go to learnpowerbi.com and look at the training one, then we have this path, Pro Plus program, and we've been running this for 2 years now. And man, this has been frankly the most satisfying thing I've done, because this is about, well, real success. And because Power BI, just the tool stuff, is not going to get you there, right? Technical skills, you may need them, but they're not going to get you there, right? So you need something else. So I've been working with this. And of course, if you look at the About Us page, you see the awesome Pro Plus members, right? So let's talk about some of them. So let's see. So let's take Greg Berg. Greg Berg runs Big Wave BI. Check him out. And his background is kind of project management, ERP systems for aerospace manufacturing. So imagine Greg came in and said, I want to move away from that and I want to go to Power BI. The challenge with that happens is that you're starting from zero. And again, if the way you frame it, the way you think about it becomes a reality. So if you're in your mind, you're thinking, I want to get there, but I don't know Power BI. I'll have to learn it. Let me go get a certificate. You see what you're doing, right? And I know it's not just, just Oscar. I know a lot of you go through that. I do too at some level, right? But again, you got to catch yourself. Awareness is the first step. So you got to catch yourself, right? You can't think that way, right? So again, you're thinking, I have this, but I don't know all that. You know what? If I can learn it, if I can get really good at that, if I can learn DAX, calculate, filter, maybe I can do that. Postgres, R, Python, SQL, databases, and the list goes on, right? And I don't want you to do any of that, right? So let that go. Let that go. And instead of starting from scratch, which is BS, what you need to do is take what you have and add Power BI so that now you become awesome. So now Greg goes in and says, hey guys, so he now caters to the audience, which was his persona. So imagine now him going to these aerospace manufacturing companies, talking to somebody who's kind of in the project management, dealing with a lot of stuff, dealing with this data, having to deal with all these ERP connections and so forth. And he says, hey, I feel your pain because I've been there. And he has been there, right? And he knows it intimately. And he can tell them, right? He can listen out, like, yep, dude, I know how your life is, right? I mean, it's like juggling 1,000 balls in the air, right? And if one ball drops out of 1,000, it's your neck on the line. It sucks. I've been there, right? And man, I was working long hours. I was spending time away from family, and kind of overworked and underappreciated. The worst combination, which a lot of us spend our lives in, right? Overworked, underappreciated. So I feel your pain, but guess what? there's a way out, right? And I did it. I helped my company get through that using this tool called Power BI. Now you notice how late Power BI comes in there, because nobody cares about Power BI. Really, nobody cares about Power BI. What do they care about? They care about their own problems. They care about their, right? I mean, that's what they care about. So now look at this positioning. Now Greg is not a starter. Now he's not a newbie. Now he's like, oh, I'm new to Power BI. I need to learn DAX and sum and calculate and filter. No, he's saying, hey, I'm a superstar already, right? I mean, I know this stuff inside out, and yeah, I can help you solve it. So it's more kind of business focused. So the biggest, so folks, we're still evolving this program 2 years in, and of course, we're starting to get deeper and deeper. And the more we're working with these folks, we're realizing that it's becoming a lot about mindset. And one of the biggest blocks that we're seeing these people face is what I call the disease of not enoughness. Right? They're constantly, obsessing over the fact that, am I good enough? I'm not good enough. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough. And the way to snap out of the cycle, and again, you can't get out of that cycle. I still find myself stuck in that cycle depending on the day you meet me, right? And you've seen me, I've cried and talked Power BI saying, I don't know, calculate, table, and summarize, right? I'm going through the same shit, right? So it's not like, the funny thing is, we wallow in our misery thinking that we're the only one, and, we're all dealing with the same stuff, right? So you can't break out of it. There's no escape from this cycle, not enoughness. Am I good enough? I'm not good enough, right? And you gotta change the game, because we can't win the game. You gotta change the game. And you change the game by taking the focus away from yourself. So stop being a self-obsessed prick, right? I say that jokingly, right? And focus on others, right? Focus on who you can help. So again, kind of a different mindset. So folks, general advice, right? So again, I use Greg's example, but a lot of them are in the same spot, right? So Charles, Solismatica, of course, he's a Pro Plus coach now as well. He's focused on kind of sales and marketing. Matthew Carmine focuses on marketing too. Of course, he has his own unique twist, the way he serves them. He has this, he kind of focuses on the data story architect. Eamon Kelly, kind of accounting and finance, right? So that's how we guide them. That's where we encourage these people to go. And what I was going to say was, that is also a great approach, because it stands the test of time. And I don't want anybody to tie their career to a technology. Or, frankly, I can't give you this advice. It's not going to come from me. Maybe there's somebody else out there saying, yeah, learn the latest technology and go with that and ride the wave, and this is how you can make it work. I don't believe in that. I haven't seen that work. So I can't give you that advice, right? So you must not tie your career to a technology. That will be the biggest mistake of your life. Biggest mistake of your life. The cycle of technology change has only accelerated. Power BI is the top of the heap right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. And even if Power BI stays hot in demand, demand fuels supply as well, right? It goes both ways. So I'm from India, so I guess I can say it. The Indians are going to flood the market, guys, right? They're going to work harder, longer hours for less money, and they're going to be smarter. How do you beat that? How do you beat that? How do you beat that game? Just like you beat the not enoughness game. You choose not to play it. Right? Am I enough? I'm not enough. Am I enough? I'm not enough. You play that all your life, right? I still play sometimes. It's not fun. It's not a fun game, right? So the same way, there's this tech, climbing on the sand dunes of technology. Let's call it that, right? You can do this all your life. That's your choice. I wouldn't recommend it. Step away. Don't play that game, because I don't think you can win that game. I don't think that game is winnable, right? You can get beaten down. It's just a matter of time, right? So, I quit kind of the 9 to 5 around when I was 40. And man, I mean, 40 for me was a bit of a magical age because it starts to become real, right? I mean, when you're young, you feel like you have all the time in the world, which you don't. You fools, come on, do something. Don't wait till 40 to wake up. So when you're young, yeah, youth is wasted on the young. So when I was young, I didn't have any clue. I'm like, yeah, I'll have time. I'll just work hard now so I can enjoy the life later. Then later never comes, right? And sometimes, and again, age is just a number. It's more in your head, right? But I know I meet some people who are kind of on and they feel like it's too late, right? It's too late, and it isn't, right? But again, it's just kind of a mindset thing. But yeah, for me, it was kind of the 40 where I said, what the F am I doing? Is this as good as it gets? Do I want to? I mean, this game is not working, right? I mean, I'm playing this game, I'm like working hard, I'm learning more. I got my undergrad in computer science, I got my master's in computer science. What's next? Maybe I should do an MBA, and that's going to solve everything, and nothing does. And yeah, you gotta change the game. And you change the game like these guys are doing. All right, folks. So, by the way, that's we were gonna January. That's when we're gonna welcome new members in that program. So we're excited about that. And next month, August, is my workcation. If you were here at the beginning of the call, and folks, again, whoever is in the program, we're updating Learn Power BI. You guys have been so patient and kind, and again, I mean, the course is focused on the core concepts, which haven't changed, but just to follow along with the videos has been harder. So that's been August for me. All right, so Oscar, hopefully that helped a little bit. Boy, I've lost track now. So this. I should mark that. So that was a student. I think we have knocked out most of the student questions. Let's just check in with some of you folks here. So Bill, Dominique Juan is here. Monolito, Robin, Stephanie, Thomas. So Robin, do you mind unmuting yourself? Just kind of check in. Would love to hear from you. Yeah, just tell me a bit of what you've been up to. Okay. Robin doesn't want to talk to me. No, probably stepped away. That's okay. Stephanie, one of you.
Hi?
Hey, have you spoken before?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, really? Okay, your name seemed familiar. How long have you been with the Learn Power BI program?
Maybe about a month and a half.
Awesome. Tell me a bit about yourself and your Power BI journey.
Okay. So
Oh,
I guess yeah.
and bonus points if you are in a spot where you can turn your webcam on.
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, cool.
Next time.
Sure.
Yeah, I a year ago I was still using Excel for all my reporting. I work with kind of an ops team within my company, and I started out doing project control stuff, so a lot of reporting for projects, forecasting.
Wow. What is like your official role or title?
Now it's a business operations analyst.
Okay.
I just started a new position about a month and a half where once I hand off all my other things, I will get to focus just on analytics. So I'm very excited.
Great. So you said a year ago you were focused on Excel, but sometime after that, since that, you picked up Power BI?
Yeah, around October, I wanted to do our fiscal year starts in October. So I wanted to do a year in review and kind of aggregate all the data all the reports that I've been doing every month.
Yeah.
And see the trends during the year.
Awesome.
And just someone else was helping me, and she mentioned her team was starting to use Power BI, so we gave it a shot. And
that's great.
The rest is history. It changed my life.
I know. Wow. I love hearing those words. My LinkedIn tagline, I don't know if it still reads that, but for a long time it actually read that, oh, Power BI changed my life and I'm here to change yours or something, cheesy. So cool. So I just want to make sure. So the fiscal year thing. So Microsoft fiscal year started in July, and man, it was always such a nightmare to kind of keep all that straight. But in Power BI, it's really simple. I just want to make sure. Have you kind of like, yep, we have that down in Power BI. I mean, we can.
No,
And,
that's kind of in the backlog. I haven't.
cool. I'll just show you some stuff, and you can kind of keep it there. You don't have to jump at it right away. But you are familiar with our ultimate calendar table, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So and okay, so if you in the ultimate calendar table, it has both the calendar year, right? So year, quarter, and the fiscal year. And depending on the organization, like I've worked with some organizations where they're like, you know what, we don't really care about calendar year at all, and please don't show it. It causes confusion, something like that. So yeah, I mean, you can remove those columns. Obviously, you should not remove the date column, but you can just remove that. So up to you. So you end up with the fiscal column, and really the only thing that's different, as you notice here, is that it's going to have a fiscal month, which is not different than month. It's the same thing, but it's you also have a fiscal month num. So it's going to say, so in your case, October is going to be 1, right? November is going to be 2, and so forth. Make sense?
So the fiscal month actually for us is different because they kind of run. Yeah.
Tell me what.
Yeah.
They kind of run
So
what?
say like October, the first 3 weeks, that's the first month, and then the last week of October and the following 3 weeks are the second month. And
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. Ouch.
super fun.
Yeah. So that is definitely doable. And you know what? I'm glad I'm talking to you. So of course, next month I am focused on redoing the Learn Power BI program. But so the way we divide the program is that the main program, Learn Power BI, that focuses on the core concepts, and I don't want that to become this ever-growing thing, because as new people come in, a biggest challenge, and I'm sure you must have faced that too, when starting out with Power BI, is overwhelm. So so we don't want the main course to start kind of keep growing, and then somebody new joins and goes, oh my God, this is too much. So we kind of layered it based on this, what the students asked for. So we have the advanced Power BI as well, and I think in August I would add a lesson about custom calendar on there. Now, if you do want to get started right away, I would say you have access to my book as part of the bonuses for the course. So go in your welcome module, and maybe I'll put a link for you in the chat as well. And in the book, in one of the last chapters, we do cover the custom calendar. So it is there. Maybe that's going to be enough for you. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat. So this is the ebook. All right, so you have the link there, and of course you can find it inside the course. And so that book has a chapter on custom calendars that'll kind of get you started, but hopefully in August I'll be able to do this custom calendar kind of a video as well. And I mean, obviously now I love video. I mean, I wrote that book, but I like the video format. I think it's more fun, easier to understand, easier to learn. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, so folks, for everybody else, there is this fiscal calendar concept, and the key here is that the way I say it is that a month is still a month, and of course, that's what Stephanie said. It's not quite true for her case. The reign of October is not really October; it's like 3 weeks in October and so forth. But if that's not the case, if a month is still a month, which was in Microsoft, like July was the first fiscal month, but it was still July 1 to 31. Then it's fairly easy, fairly straightforward. If not, if you have one of those 3 weeks, or there's of course the retail calendar, 4 week, 4 week, 5 week, 4 5 4, then that's kind of a different pattern. Awesome. So great, Stephanie. Thank you. Thanks for sharing a little bit about yourself.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So let's go back here. Wow, we have covered. So we did cover Oscar's kind of career question. Yeah, I guess. What's the time? 11:12. It's still early, but so any questions you have on the phone, put it in the chat box. Ooh, Robin has a question. Oh, and doesn't have a microphone. I'm glad I saw your question. Okay, so Robin is asking, I'm unemployed, so I don't have a project to work on. Oh well, it's not really a question, but maybe I can share kind of my thoughts on it. Yeah, that's great. So that does get a little tricky, and because the way our program is structured, anybody who's been through the program, and let me like right in the welcome video, and even before that, and we talk about this whole learn, do, fail, win cycle. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Right. So learn, do, fail, win. Right. So and I believe in that. Right. So it's kind of the learning by doing, and so I say that. Kind of learn, which is the first step, go through the lessons in the course, and then do is kind of twofold. One, there are exercises in the course you can do, but more importantly, I say apply it to your data sets, to your own data sets, and then you're going to get stuck because life is not AdventureWorks. We all wish it were. Not really. It'd be boring. But, and we were talking about this with Steve earlier, right? And we were saying how it's never as simple as this, right? There's always some complexity, which is good. I enjoy that, but that's where people often get stuck. And like water everywhere, not a drop to drink, that kind of stuff. Like there's solutions everywhere. There are free forums and all this sort of stuff, right? And I hear this from people all the time. It's like, yep, there's all of that. I find a lot of stuff. I Google it, I YouTube it. I find a lot of answers, just not mine, right? So that's frustrating. And that's why we have kind of the community, the Q&A call, and so forth, and we say you get a win. So it's structured around that. But of course, what if you are between jobs or something like that? That does make it a little tricky. I'll tell you what some of our Pro Plus members are doing or have done, and maybe that would help. So some of them, what they did was they took the nonprofit route, that they reached out to nonprofits and started kind of working with them for free, but they get experience, and then you can use that experience and testimonial and those examples to get a real job or a real contract or consulting engagement. So that could be one approach. Of course, for our Pro Plus program, we do other things. We run the real Power BI project and so forth. Now, of course, you can also look at just data sets off of the web. I'll say that I'm not a huge fan of that. For me, I feel like it's a game of tennis. And if you just go to, like whatever, like, right? I mean, there are lots of data sets out there. So some United Nations data, population data, and coronavirus data, right? I mean, everybody's building graphs around that. It's okay, but that's not real tennis, right? That's like hitting a ball against a wall. It's still practice. It's okay, right? But it's not kind of the real thing. You want the other player. You want the client, internal or external, right? So in a job, it'll be an internal client. If you're a freelancer, it's going to be an external client. But you want that back and forth because that is real Power BI. Sorry, I don't have much else there, but for that Pro Plus group, we run kind of real Power BI where we match them up with real businesses and so forth to get that experience. But so see if you can use some of the same techniques, right? So maybe nonprofits and so forth. That's great. Good to have you on, Robin. I mean that's great. It seems like you're going kind of all out and staying focused on your learning journey. That's great. For anybody who is between jobs, or you want a new job, or you care about your career, one book that I would really recommend is What Color Is Your Parachute? So that is a great guidebook. It changed my life. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, but and some of the concepts that I was talking about earlier with Oscar, a lot of them are based in that book. Awesome. All right, folks. So looks like we've run out of questions. Well, Daniel. Okay, let's see. Daniel says, I have one question. If you're pulling data from Azure Analysis Services as it is on the cloud, it is not mandatory to establish a gateway. Would you still recommend one, and why? Nope. If your data source is in the cloud, you don't need a gateway. Gateway is a bit of a hassle. So yeah, I would say just skip it. Now, obviously, sooner or later, any organization does, you're going to end up needing something on-prem, and that's where you need the gateway. So sooner or later, you are going to need a gateway in pretty much any organization. So yeah, so you can't avoid it forever. Looks like Alejandro is helping Matthias. That's awesome. Subba is asking, how do I build real-time graph from a SharePoint list? Ooh. Real-time. So guys, help me out here. What are the ways to... So if it was a SQL server, we could have used direct query, which is not real time, but near real time, right? It's yeah, pretty much. But how do you do it for a SharePoint list? I think the best option is that see if you can build a streaming data set on PowerBI.com. I'm not sure if it's possible to build it against a SharePoint list. Maybe it is. If it is, then that would be your solution. All right, Ramon had a question earlier. Maybe a few questions. Sounds like, Ramon, you're in the Learn Power BI program. That's awesome. Is there a way to do incremental refresh without Power BI Pro? Nope, there isn't. And we should count ourselves lucky, because there was a time when incremental refresh was a premium feature, which meant $5,000 a month, right? So now it's available to Pro. So you're saying several files for prior months are static, but when, yeah, there's no way to do incremental refresh without Pro. My best advice would be just schedule it for a time in the night and just let it run. Right? Yeah. What else? Regarding basic visualization, Ramon is asking, is it better or easier in a report to include a slicer, or just add a table or graph and have the user click on it to filter a slice? That's a good question. So yeah, so why do we even need slicers, right? I mean, users can just click around and filter based on that. So who cares about slicers? So they can click on kind of United States and see just the details of that. Well, two thoughts here. So actually, that's a good one. I'm going to write that one down. There we go. Okay, and folks, I guess I haven't heard from anybody else, so we'll end on that. So why do we need slicers when we can do this? Well, there could be two reasons. One, slicers can be pretty compact, right? So especially in their various forms, right? I mean, you can do like a drop down where they expand. You can do like a time where users drag and drop, right? So they can be compact. That's one reason. the other reason is multi-select is way easier. Well, it's easier with slicer. So what is easy, right? So in user interface, for me at least, it's discoverable and intuitive. Discoverable means that I can find it on my own without anybody's help, without anybody pointing it to me. And intuitive means once I find it, then I know how to use it, right? I mean, I can figure it out. Like, man, so we got a new car recently, and man, I think it's been what, like 12 years since we bought a car. So yeah, it's quite an upgrade, but I was really impressed by how refined the interface is, because a lot of stuff I was able to discover by my own, and it was intuitive enough that I could learn it on my own. As opposed to drill down in Power BI. It's neither discoverable nor intuitive, right? I mean, it's like if I'm looking at this, how do I know that this has drill down? I don't. It's not discoverable. I mean, yeah, if I hover over it, these funny things show up on there, but like I don't know, right? I don't know what they are, right? So you have to work really hard to discover them. It's like, what is that? What is that thing? Click to turn on drill, right? I mean, yeah. So it's not very discoverable. It is a little bit, and I really don't find it intuitive. I mean, to this day, God, I've been around Power BI for a while, but I kind of struggle to remember which arrow is what. Like, what is it? And I know there's this tooltip, but again, if there's a tooltip, it's that's like admitting defeat, right? I mean, that means it's not intuitive enough. That's why you need a tooltip, right? So icons are supposed to be, kind of quick visual. So, and again, I mean, I don't know how to solve it, right? I mean, I'm certainly not smart enough to say, oh, you should have done this instead. But I know that I have trouble using it, right? So the kind of that's so again, just a little bit of deep dive, but discoverable and intuitive. So multi-select. How do you do multi-select? So if I want to see United States, let's say accessories in United States, what would I do? I have to click United States, and then you can't see it, but I'm going to hold down the control key on my keyboard and click accessories, which is hard to click because it's small. But so now it's filtered down to that. But again, this is not discoverable. Somebody has to tell this to you. For a new user, you have to train them. You have to tell them that, oh, this is how you do it. So it's not discoverable, but once you tell it, I guess it's somewhat intuitive. I mean, yeah, it's just, yep, got it. So that's okay. But yeah, so whereas as slicers, if you had these two as slicers, it's, yeah, I mean, you don't have to teach anybody. They're going to know, right? So let's turn these into slicers. And right, so now if I say I want to see United States and clothing, well, yeah, I click this and I click this and that's done, right? So discoverable and intuitive. All right, folks. So hey, I feel fairly good about this. It looks like we missed a few. Juliet, Matthias, Nancy. Maybe they had to drop off, but we got to all the students who submitted the questions. We got to a good chunk of folks who submitted on YouTube. We took your questions live. Hopefully that was fun. It was fun for me. That's why I do it. That's pretty much my, kind of my benchmark. It's like, oh, if I enjoy doing it. So we run this every month. Although again, next month I'm on workcation. I'm off for the month, and I would have some fun. I go hiking every week. I've been going hiking every week, but I would be focused on updating our Learn Power BI course, and I'm looking forward to that. So of course, we want to update it for the UI, but of course, as we're doing it, we will also update in a little bit different ways. Like some of the things, I understand them better now, so I can explain them better now that I've taught this for, a longer time. So we'll be updating the course. So August we're off. I guess next Friday is July 31, which is not August, so we'll still be on. So join us then. But after the August break, we'll be back in September. And every month we do the Q&A session. We're thinking about doing other stuff. We might experiment with something. Like one idea was that do one session which is just for YouTube folks. I'm not sure. I mean, it was an idea. I mean, at that point, it felt like a great idea. Right now, I'm not so sure. Right, so just on YouTube, the idea was that I can pay more attention to the chat. Although this call, I feel I balanced it well. Another idea was to do more calls with our students, and you will definitely see me there, see me more hanging out in a group, kind of live calls with a group, and just kind of hanging out there. But anyway, so once a month we definitely are gonna do this Q&A call, and if you go on our channel, which is here, you can see what's coming next. Oh God, no! It was supposed to be here. Sorry, we'll go find it. I don't know what happened to it. It was something like coming soon or something, and it showed everything that's lined up. We'll try to put that back on. So we do one Q&A, and then we do one dashboard showcase. And of course, if you've heard me talk about this around our Pro Plus program, and it applies to everybody really, right? If you ask me, the key to success is not just do good work, but tell great stories. And I feel like for the 15 plus years I was in corporate America and my career kind of went nowhere, that was one of the big problems. I was so focused on working and working hard and learning more, but I wasn't telling my story, right? What good is your hard work if nobody knows about it? And like in for a lot of times there was this one person, like my manager, who kind of knew, and sometimes it was zero. Like, you know how in companies, like sometimes you get a reorg and you get a new manager and he's not really focused on you, and even he doesn't know, right? I mean, and he doesn't know about your good work. What if we changed that equation? What if you still did good work, but not zero, not one? What if 10 people heard your story about the work? Yeah, this is what I did. This is the challenge that we solved. This is the problem we solved. These are the challenges we overcame. This is how we did it. These were the results. Simple story, right? Simple story, and simple is good. What if 10 people knew that story? What if 100 people in your company knew that story? Would you be likely to be promoted faster, be able to pick your job? Think about it, right? And what if 1,000 people knew your story? And what if it wasn't just within your organization, in the industry, across organization, right? So I don't know, maybe you're in healthcare, maybe you're in energy, whatever is your thing. What if in that focus or niche of yours, not just your company where you are right now, but across that band, they knew about you? 1,000 people heard your story and knew about your work. What if it was 10,000? How would your life change? What would you be able to do? All right, let's end on that. I'll see you next time. Until then, power on, folks.